A reading from the first letter of St. Paul to the Corinthians. Brothers and sisters, knowledge inflates with pride, but love builds up. If anyone supposes he knows something, he does not yet know as he ought to know. But if one loves God, one is known by him. So about the eating of meat sacrificed to idols, we know that there is no idol in the world, and that there is no God but one. Indeed, even though there are so many so-called gods in heaven and on earth, there are, to be sure, many gods and many lords, yet for us there is one God, the Father, from whom all things are and for whom we exist, and one Lord, Jesus Christ, through whom all things are and through whom we exist. But not all have this knowledge. There are some who have been so used to idolatry up until now that when they eat meat sacrificed to idols, their conscience, which is weak, is defiled. Thus, through your knowledge, the weak person is brought to destruction, the brother for whom Christ died. When you sin in this way against your brothers and wound their consciences, weak as they are, you are sinning against Christ. Therefore, if food causes my brother to sin, I will never eat meat again, so that I may not cause my brother to sin. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
The psalm, guide me, Lord, along the everlasting way.
Guide me, O Lord, along the everlasting way.
O Lord, you have probed me and you know me. You know when I sit and when I stand. You understand my thoughts from afar. My journeys and my rest you scrutinize. With all my ways you are familiar.
Guide me, O Lord, along the everlasting way.
Truly you have formed my inmost being. You knit me in my mother's womb. I give you thanks that I am fearfully, wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works.
Guide me, O Lord, along the everlasting way.
Probe me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts. See if my way is crooked, and lead me in the way of old.
Guide me, O Lord, along the everlasting way. Alleluia, 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 alleluia. Alleluia, alleluia. The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. Luke. Jesus said to his disciples, "To you who hear, I say, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who mistreat you. To the person who strikes you on one cheek, offer the other one as well. And from the person who takes your cloak, do not withhold even your tunic. Give to everyone who asks of you. And from the one who takes what is yours, do not demand it back. Do to others as you would have them do to you. For if you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners do the same. If you lend money to those from whom you expect repayment, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners and get back the same amount. But rather love your enemies and do good for them. Lend, expecting nothing back. Then your reward will be great, and you will be children of the Most High, for he himself is kind to the ungrateful and the wicked. Be merciful, just as also your Father is merciful. Stop judging, and you will not be judged. Stop condemning, you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and gifts will be given to you. Good measure, packed down, shaken together, overflowing, will be poured into your lap. For the measure with which you measure will in return be measured out to you. The Gospel of the Lord. There can scarcely be two readings today that probably have more to say about the circumstances of the world and the conflicts that are going on between the Muslim world and the United States right now than these two readings. The first reading from St. Paul reminds us that making of the movie that has stirred up so much trouble was absolutely pointless because it was intended to be provocative. As it turns out, some of the people that I've seen on Facebook wanted to accuse the Jews of making that movie because that was the word that first came out. Now it turns out it's a Christian fellow who made the movie. Actors are frustrated because they said that overdubbing has put new words into the movie that they never spoke, and they thought they were making a movie about one thing, and now it's hitting the fan about another. And yet we are told that there's a possibility that the original attack in Benghazi was actually orchestrated and not a spontaneous mob action. And just it's one thing after another, and you may have seen that now the United States Embassy in Yemen has been attacked. So it is just, again, one thing after another. I wanted to offer to you, I referred to this in part yesterday, but the first of these is a press release from Father Federico Lombardi, who is the press secretary for the Vatican. And this was yesterday with regard to the movie that was put out. What was it called? Muslim Innocence, I think. Father Lombardi says this: profound respect for the beliefs, texts, outstanding figures and symbols of the various religions is an essential precondition for the peaceful coexistence of peoples. The serious consequences of unjustified offense and provocations against the sensibilities of Muslim believers are once again evident in these days, as we see the reactions they arouse, sometimes with tragic results, which in their turn nourish tension and hatred, unleashing an unacceptable violence. The message of dialogue and respect for all believers of different religions, which the Holy Father is preparing to carry with him on his forthcoming trip to Lebanon, indicate the path that everyone should follow in order to construct shared and peaceful coexistence of religions and peoples. That message the Holy Father will be taking to Lebanon tomorrow. But that was yesterday's press release. This morning, slightly different in tone. The very serious attack organized against the United States diplomatic mission in Libya, which led to the death of the ambassador and of other functionaries, calls for the firmest possible condemnation on the part of the Holy See. Nothing, in fact, can justify the activity of terrorist organizations and homicidal violence. Along with our sadness, mourning, and prayers for the victims, we again express the hope that despite this latest tragedy, the international community may discover the most favorable ways to continue its commitment in favor of peace in Libya and the entire Middle East. So, the Holy Father is trying to strike the balance. Condemnation of provocations on the one hand, condemnation of violence on the other. It's such a difficult tightrope to walk. In that regard, Psalm 87 for morning prayer today has something to say. On the holy mountain is his city, cherished by the Lord. The Lord prefers the gates of Zion to all Jacob's dwellings. Of you are told glorious things, O city of God. Babylon and Egypt I will count among those who know me. Philistia, Tyre, Ethiopia, these will be her children. And Zion shall be called mother, for all shall be her children. It is he, the Lord Most High, who gives each his place. In his register of peoples he writes, these are her children. And while they dance, they will sing, in you all find their home. That's the vision of the city of God that St. Augustine celebrated. It's the vision of peace and reconciliation that the Holy Father wants to bring. And I pray that with our words, deeds, and lives, we can foster that kind of vision rather than the vision that, in fact, seems to be carried far so far in the world, so that we can take the words of the gospel today to heart and know that love is really the only way to end the cycle of violence. Let us stand and pray.